Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. This is a video I decided to put together like literally 15-20 minutes ago. And I was really motivated to do it based off of the video I just did a couple days ago, which was the thread, name 5 bands or artists that the VC really loves that you can't stand or something like that. And over the last few days, I've been reading some of the responses that people have left on there, and I've just found it to be just so freaking cool and so eye-opening, in the sense that I've just learned so much about VC members that I just had no clue about in terms of musical taste and stuff like that. And I found myself reading so many of these responses and comments, and I was just like, really, really, like, just stuff that they picked and stuff that they mentioned that they didn't like that I just never would have guessed in a million years. Which again, it was just like really, really cool to me. Um, so I decided again, I just thought it was so cool, and I was so excited about learning that stuff about people. It just made me think, well, what if I asked the question a little different way? Like, what if I answer the question from a standpoint of name some bands that you love to death or albums that you love to death that you're pretty sure the VC is really not going to like, or kind of in a sense, you just have an expectation that most people aren't going to like this because this is just one of my cheesy favorites type of thing. And so I thought, what would my answers be to that question if I looked at it from the other way? And so they just made me start thinking. I started like going through and pulling out records, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna make a video about it. So this is kind of my tag along video to that thread. And I do want to say too, again, I thought it was just really, really cool going through and seeing those responses and learning some of the things that I've learned about VC members in terms of their taste in music. And obviously there's a ton of them, but the two that really stick out in my mind, like number one was, if you would have asked me a week ago, someone put a gun to your head and said, name 5 bands that you think a majority of the VC would love, or you're gone. One of the bands I probably would have picked would have been Kiss. I'm like, yeah, a good majority of the VC definitely love Kiss. And after seeing the comments on the video, I'm just like, holy cow, I did not realize this many people don't like Kiss. At least in the VC. I mean, worldwide and blah, 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 of course, but in the VC, I would have never expected that. And there were so many people that were just like, Kiss just sucks, and I don't know, that just really, really blew my mind. It's like, I can't believe that. Um, and not because, they should like Kiss or anything like that, but just more so, I just kind of had this assumption that I've been walking around with all this time of that, yeah, vast majority of people in the VC, of course Kiss, of course Kiss. Not of course Kiss at all. So, again, something about that just really, really blew my mind. I just thought that was so interesting, especially to find people that I've known for so long that didn't like Kiss that I would have assumed did. So that was like really, really cool. The other one that really stands out in my mind is my boy John, SMF Captain Howdy. And so pretty much everyone here in the VC knows John. When he put a comment in there and laid out some of the bands that he doesn't like, and I was just like, really? Because again, I mean, I've watched I don't know how many of John's videos, and I've communicated with him, and you see all his guitar covers that he does on his different videos, and the different things in music that he likes and all. And when he laid out stuff like, I think he said Motorhead, and he had Metallica was in there. I think, was it Neil Young and Saxon or something like that? And I saw that list, I was like, is this John? Like, did someone hijack his channel or something? And again, like I said, a guy that I've watched and seen and learned so much about, and I had no clue that those bands would be on his list. And I don't know, that was just a really cool thing to me. I don't know why it was so cool, but just learning that about him, and again, there's so many others I could go through as well. I don't even have the time to mention the number of people that shocked me with some of the things they said, but it was just really, really interesting. And I really like that too, because again, for whatever reason, maybe I'm strange, maybe other people don't take it the same way, but to me, that's like a connection thing. I feel like if someone knows me well enough to be able to associate me with things that are truly about me, like that's one of the ultimate compliments to me. That's one of the ultimate signs of getting closer to someone, at least in my book. So that's kind of the way that I feel about that. And to me, it's always kind of indications of, even if I'm not necessarily friends or like, hanging out all the time, whatever else, that still it draws me closer. You know, it's actually a reason why when I remember in my video when I showed the box set and I was about to say something negative about the Beatles, and I made the little joke about me and Mr. Mayo kind of falling over, in his chair because I said something bad about the Beatles. I mean, he totally knows exactly how I feel about the Beatles, and I know how he feels about the Beatles, more so than just his videos. But like over the years, time we've both been in the VC, we've had those conversations back and forth about the Beatles, and or I really think they're too much this. Well, do you ought to check out these songs and these songs? These are a little different than, like, we've had those conversations a ton of times in the past. So I feel like really connected with him in the sense that anytime I think about someone carrying the torch for the Beatles, me, Mr. Mayo, is always gonna be my first thought. Like, he's the number one Beatles fan in my mind, and again, I give him that honor because I've had that connection with him, of understanding how he feels about the Beatles and having that discussion and everything. So, that's a place of honor that he gets to hold, and you know, he's the biggest Beatle fan in my mind. And so experiencing and hearing these things from you guys throughout this thread, it's kind of been doing the same thing. Like, I can't imagine buying a Saxon album now and not saying something to John, because like I had no idea he wasn't a big fan of Saxon. But yeah, so very cool stuff. Let me stop rambling. I know I'm almost kind of like giddy here, but that's just how exciting that was to me. Maybe that makes me really weird. But anyway, so what I did here was I went through and just pulled out some albums, again, that I assume most people in the VC, or a good chunk, are probably not going to like. But these are also albums and bands that I really, really love. So I tried to avoid doing any type of one-hit wonder 80s things that maybe a lot of people don't tend to know about. We don't talk about a lot of R&B, at least I don't see a lot of videos with 80s R&B and stuff like that, so I didn't pick out something from that category, but tried to stay with bigger bands that have nice long catalogs, maybe nice long careers, and everyone knows them and probably has a clear idea if they don't like them or not. Alright, so let's jump right into it. First one, we'll start off here, and you'll notice in the background got a little Kenny G playing, which I think is a perfect mood for a video about stuff I like that I'm assuming the VC probably doesn't. I assume Kenny G background music was a good setting to that. But let's start off here with Van Halen. And of course, this is Van Halen 3. An album that I really did like. And, I thought what's-his-name's voice was... I thought he fit in well with Van Halen. I mean, like, his biggest downfall was that he had to be an extreme first. I really do sense that. But, songs like Without You and a couple other things on here I thought were fantastic. As a matter of fact, I love that song, Without You. Fantastic song. And, I hope they press this on vinyl at some point. I don't know if they haven't. I haven't checked and I don't know how long, but I don't think it's ever been pressed on vinyl. But, yeah, I love that. Next one here, all you guys already know about this one. But Godsmack. One of my top 3 favorite bands, especially to go see live. Love them to death. I think I've seen them 14 times now. So this is one I kind of already know a lot of people in the VC just do not like. So that's kind of a guaranteed pick. And maybe on some of these, if it's more than others, leave a comment down below and let me know. I'm assuming some of the 80s hair metal might get a little more on board with this. But instead of picking a dirty, rotten, stinky, filthy, rich, blah, 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 I thought I'd kind of pick Cherry Pie, too, because I think this is a little maybe where even Warrant lost a few fans going towards this album, but I love it. Great album, you know, Cherry Pie, I Saw Red, and a couple of those that were kind of bigger hits, but I think Uncle Tom's Cabin is probably my favorite song off of this album. Really, really good stuff. So, another one I'm sure a good chunk of the VC doesn't like, Poison, Look What the Cat Dragged In. So, you know, of course, this was the glammy-ish of glam. I mean, God, look at that. That's just insane. But, you know, it's just one of those fun albums. You know, I remember really enjoying it when I was growing up, and, excuse me, I took it for what it was worth. So when I wanted to listen to Iron Maiden, I put in Iron Maiden, and when I wanted to have a little fun, listen to Poison, I put in Poison. So I still love this album a lot. That was, of course, my introduction to them. The next one here, and I'm really kind of curious about this one too. I'm thinking that a lot of people do not like this band, but I'm very curious to know. Live. And this is their album Throwing Copper, which song for song is probably my favorite album by them. And I'll definitely like more stuff on this as a whole. But this is also the album, of course, that introduced me to Live. My sweet mate back in college, his girlfriend used to listen to this album all the time, and it, you know, just really kind of sunk in. And with songs like Selling the Drama, I Alone, Lightning Crashes, All Over You, really, really great stuff. But I do understand that some people don't like it, you know, kind of based on his vocal delivery. Sometimes the whole, you know, slow down, speed up thing that they do in their songs gets a little old sometimes. And they can get kind of annoying. But, yeah, they have really good stuff. So not only this album, but then songs like Turn My Head off of their other album. What's another good one? I'm Overcome. That's another great song by them. But anyway, so that's one I assume people don't like as much. And I'm curious about this one too. Fuel. I was going to pull out my Creed Human Clay LP, but I thought I showed that one not too long ago. But I thought I'd pull out the Fuel Sunburn. And I really kind of associate Fuel and Creed together, because when I got a brand new Mustang back in, was it 98 or something like that? And a couple days after I got it, I went out and bought 2 CDs, and it was Fuel, Sunburn, and Creed's My Own Prison. And I played those 2 CDs so much back and forth, I swear they melded together into one. But I definitely have a strong association of Fuel and Creed. But again, this is Sunburn. You know, has some really good tracks on it, stuff like Shimmer and Bittersweet. And there was another one on here too that was Untitled, Bittersweet, Shimmer, Jesus or a Gun. So there's some really good songs on this album. Matter of fact, I haven't listened to this one. I'm gonna give this a spin when I finish making this video. But I assume this is probably a band that a lot of people don't maybe like that much. Let's see. The next one here, Christopher Cross, self-titled. Definitely interested to hear about this one. But I love Christopher Cross. You know, I love that 70s soft rock kind of thing that he did. And of course, most people tend to know songs like Sailing and Fly Like the Wind, you know, stuff like that. But, Fly Like the Wind, Ride Like the Wind. But there's also a lot of other great songs on here, such as Minstrel Gigolo. I think is also a fantastic song on this album. And I've always loved Christopher Cross. Always, always, always. And another interesting thing about this album too, or what this album is responsible for, the whole purge thing that I've been doing, where I've gotten rid of hundreds of records over the past, you know, year and a half, 2 years, and upgrading my collection and getting everything in great condition and all of that. It all started with this album right here. This was the album that motivated me to do it. Because I pulled it off the shelf one day to listen to it, and there were so many crackles and pops and everything, it was kind of annoying me. Like, not a ton, but it was enough where it annoyed me. And so I pulled it off, and I was like, I want to get a good copy of that, because I shouldn't have to deal with it if I'm ready to listen to blah, blah, blah. So I went and looked, and I always kind of thought about this as a dollar bin record, you know. So I looked online, I saw one that was like $9 brand new. And I'm like, God, that's a lot to pay for a Christopher Cross record of all records. And but I broke down and bought it. And so bought it for $9, which of course is not expensive for a brand new sealed record. And then it came in and I listened to it and I was like, wow, it's heavier cover and it sounds great and everything's in perfect condition. And I just like love the fact that it was nice and it played perfect. And this is what motivated me. I said a couple days after that, I'm going to go through my entire collection, start cleaning stuff out and blah, blah, blah. All started with Christopher Cross, baby. So again, love that record. Curious to know how much of how many of you do as well. Now here's one too, that what I'm pointing out more is not necessarily Rod Stewart, but I'm kind of focusing more on 80s Rod. Because obviously you have, Faces, and you have Rod's solo career early on, then you have the 80s stuff, and then going into the 90s and Motown covers he did, blah, 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 blah. But 80s Rod Stewart, and mainly focusing on this album. Like, this album and Infatuation would be my two. But this is out of order. Definitely my favorite 80s Rod Stewart album, and I love it to death. Great stuff on this album. You had the hits like Forever Young and My Heart Can't Tell You No and Crazy About Her, which were, more of his bigger hits. But two songs on this album that, honestly, I would say are two of Rod's best songs is Lost in You, which is really kind of a nice upbeat 80s pop type thing with Rod power behind it, vocal power. And then the song When I Was Your Man, which is Rod doing his perfect mixture between 80s ballad and a bit of that kind of Motownish flavor that he could bring to his delivery. He nails it on When I Was Your Man. And I freaking love this album to death. So again, I'm curious if anyone else out there in the VC likes that at all. Journey is a band I think most of us respect. Even if you don't necessarily like them, I think most people respect Journey to some degree. But I don't oftentimes hear as much about Steve Perry, just as a solo artist. And this is Street Talk. And this is one that I love. Steve Perry, in my mind, one of the top 3 voices in music of all time. And I mean, that's saying a lot. But yeah, he nails it on this album. You had the hits like Oh Sharing and Foolish Heart and stuff like that. But if you really want to see what Perry can do, you go with songs like Go Away and Captured by the Moment. Just nails it. So that's one I definitely think the VC would not love anywhere near as much as I do. A few albums I could have picked by this band, but I picked this one considering it was the first one that introduced me to them. This is The Outfield, Play Deep. And this is one I'm kind of curious about. I'm actually, when I first pulled off the shelf, I was kind of, kind of a teeter-totter between, I wonder if a lot of people really hate this or if there's more people that like it than I expect. But The Outfield, Play Deep, songs like Your Love, Say It Isn't So, All the Love. I mean, again, some of their classic tracks there, but definitely Your Love, I think, is probably the most, known song by The Outfield. Alright, let's move on to another one I kind of teeter-tottered a bit, but I would assume more people would dislike them than like them here in the VC. Green Day. This is International Super Hits. So kind of just their greatest hits here. I have, and I'm not like the biggest Green Day fan in the world. I mean, I have their little CD box set they came out with. I got it on eBay for like $15 or $20 or something like that. So to get all their studio albums, it was a great deal. And I have like 4 of their studio albums along with this greatest hits album. So there's a lot of things that I like about them, but I definitely see it as being a band that a lot of people maybe aren't that fond of, because Green Day is definitely, in my opinion, they are the band that kind of came from those punk beginnings, and they, like all genres, especially when they start to get big, you have those mainstream that kind of go towards the radio-friendly type of stuff, and that's what Green Day kind of did, radio-friendly punk type music. So, they may take offense to that, but, that's always the way that I've sensed them. So again, I'm curious about that one as well. Cranberries. I tend to find that a lot of people, when it comes to her vocal delivery, they either love it or hate it. There's not a lot of in-between with the Cranberries. Personally, I love it to death. Like all their stuff, fantastic band. Here's another good one too. Matchbox 20. I don't know if that's a band that's cool to like or not. Personally, I love them. No, I think they, just great songwriting, amazing vocals, the whole nine. And this is kind of a 2 LP with their greatest hits. And you have everything on here from Long Day, Push 3 AM, Real World, Back to Good, Bent, If You're Gone, Mad Season. So it has like their greatest hits. So really, really cool album. And just a lot of great stuff on there. I've always liked Matchbox 20. What's his name's vocal delivery? I think he's an amazing singer. Sometimes I think he gets caught up in the songs don't allow him to be as free where he can do what he can really do with his vocals. But like the song 3 AM, for example, if you ever go watch the live concert, the DVD that came out with Matchbox 20, he does a version of it where it's just like not an acoustic, but he's just at the piano. So it's just the piano and him singing that song. Amazing. I mean, you really get to hear what he can do vocally in that song. But yeah, Matchbox 20 for sure. And then let's see. The last three here, I saved these last three for last because I figured these would be the ones that there's a pretty sure bet that a good majority of the VC is going to dislike all three of these without question. So we'll start off first with, of course, I'm going to show Kenny G, like was playing in the background. I'm not sure if I've met another Kenny G fan in the VC, so that would be interesting to know too. I'm sure they're out there, of course. I'm not the only one that's made him a multi-gold and everything else seller. But yeah, so again, I'd be very curious. Let me know if there are any other Kenny G fans out there. But I love him to death. He was my introduction to jazz. I mean, I've told that story before in the past. And I pulled this particular album out. His live album is my favorite, but I pulled this one out because I think Silhouette was really the first song that I've ever heard by Kenny G. So, that's Kenny. Next here, we're going to go with, I call him the man, but he officially goes by the name Seal. So again, I'm not sure how many Seal fans that we have here in the VC, but I'm pretty sure the number of people out there that like Seal does not compare to the degree that I think everyone should like Seal. Or in terms of how much I like him. I think Seal is, in some ways, one of the few artists that I honestly think is still a savior to music. That still knows how to get in front of a microphone, knows how to go into a studio, and just literally smear emotions and passion all over his record and then give it to you. And it's just like when you put it on, it's exactly what you get. There's so many things that he does where I really sit back and I'm just amazed, almost like a Prince type of thing of how did you come up with that? Like, where did that come from inside of you to even think to do that? And I mean, just puts together beautiful stuff. And so this here is Seal 7, his latest release. Some really good stuff on here too, and I think probably my favorite song off of this album is going to be Do You Ever. That's probably my favorite song off of this album. But when you go back to, excuse me, something in my eye there, like Seal 3, which I think song for song is his best album, the day they dropped that one on vinyl, I'm going to be just as happy as I was when that Enya got pressed on vinyl. Because that album so needs to be pressed. Oh my gosh. Matter of fact, that should be a MoFi pressing that they do with that one. But so anyway, so Seal is definitely one that I don't expect a lot of people to really like. And last but not least, Coldplay. It's almost like just a given that if you crack on Coldplay, you put Coldplay down. It's like you see it, comedians do it all the time. You see them do it in TV shows and movies. It's like Coldplay is just a band that it's cool to make fun of. But I don't care what anybody says. Like, I have all of their studio albums on vinyl, and they are all fantastic. Now, of course, I can understand that if you don't really click with his vocal delivery, you're gonna hate everything that they do. But if you do, especially if you can connect his vocals with what they're doing musically, within yourself, then you're gonna just love him to death. So yeah, I definitely think Coldplay is very awesome. But again, I don't expect many people in the VC to be huge fans. So there you go. That's just kind of a quick stack showing some of the stuff that, again, I assume most people in the VC don't like, but I could be surprised again. So I thought everyone liked Kiss. So let me know what you think. If you want to do responses as well, I'm not necessarily making it officially a thread, but always, feel free just to talk about music. So take care, VC. Again, thanks for all your comments on the other video and sharing all that stuff. It was just really, really awesome for me, and I appreciate it. And we will talk to you soon.